Welcome to the Mafia Means Family Podcast.
I'm Mafia Mom.
I'm Mini Mafia. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more amazing content.
So welcome everybody. Those of you who've been with us before, and those of you this is your first time, I do apologize. We're running a few minutes behind tonight. We had some tech issues. Got it all worked out now, and we're good to go. So welcome to the Mafia Means Family Podcast. What we're going to do is first just going to go over our week. So how was your week, Mini Mafia?
My week was great. School is going amazing.
Good. And what did you think of that Bills-Jacksonville game on Sunday?
There's a lot of words to describe it, but none of them are good.
I would agree with that. You want to read Spears Bills Talk's comment there?
By Spears Bills Talk. Go Bills to you too.
Absolutely, go Bills.
I do want to add a little side comment. We have been having some issues with our house lately. We have a bee infestation, so we can't go upstairs.
Yes, that's made it an interesting week. So we got some yellow jackets running around that exterminator's coming out tomorrow. So it's been a fun week.
And me and my sister have to sleep downstairs.
We're camping out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now on to why everybody's here, because it's not to hear about our personal lives. I promise you they're not that interesting. Let's move on to the Bills-Jags game. Oh, man, that was a rough one to watch. Very reminiscent, in my opinion, to the way the offense looked, at least against the Bengals. It just didn't look like it had any heart, any passion, any desire, any want. If you go back and you look at the Dawson Knox catch that he caught for about 2 yards and then ran over Holland in the Miami game, compare that to the body language on the Dalton Kincaid catch where he went out a yard or two short of the first down against Jacksonville. And that should have told you everything you need to know about the game. They just didn't have that oomph. I don't know if it was jet lag. I don't know if it was coming down off the Miami game. I don't really care what the excuse is. It wasn't okay. Defense was impressive, man. Guys going down left and right.
Especially without White and Milano.
Yeah, it's impressive. If you noticed last week, we always hang up jerseys for the show. We have a bunch of different jerseys to choose from. Last week, we only had White up. That's the first time we've ever had one jersey and not two on. And this week, we only have Milano up. He is the heart and soul of that defense, and it was really, really tough watching him go down. We have heard some encouraging stuff this week, right? So it's possible he could be back sometime this year along with Daquan Jones. We'll see what happens. But either way, it was really rough. The defense, though, somehow still came up with stop after stop. AJ Epinesa, man, whew, that kid's finally coming into his own, and that was good to see. Like, he was balling out. I think he should have gotten AFC Defensive Player of the Week. I think they gave it to Max Crosby. Epinesa, what he forced, 2 fumbles, he had 2 sacks. He played incredible. So good for him.
By Mafia Sports Report, I called it a nightmare in London.
I would agree with you there, man. And like I said, I'm not going to blame it on jet lag. The refs didn't have great calls. Not going to blame it on that. When you're a good team, you overcome all that, and we didn't. So the Jags deserve that win. They were a better team for 3 quarters and half a quarter. The offense finally seemed to wake up at the end of the game, and it was just too late. And you can't do that. Personally, for me, the most disappointing part of it was watching Diggs get so frustrated on the sideline. I'm so sick of this narrative about all this drama between Diggs and the team and Diggs and Allen. Bills fans, I think we feel a lot better about it than the national media. Like, we know that it was an issue that was back in June, July, and it's done and over with now. But every time something happens on the sideline, it's going to be over magnified because it's the Bills. So it is what it is. Mafia Sports Report there saying the NFL did the Bills dirty with the scheduling, and I hope McDermott understands you need to leave early when you leave the country. Yeah, I agree. I know most of you have probably seen by now the Roger Goodell interview talking about how this was an experiment and how he wanted to see if there was an advantage for a team who was staying over there as opposed to a team that just showed up. Well, let's not play that with regular season games when people are actually playing for things and with injuries. But either way, there's no excuses. You should have been the better team and you weren't. So I'm not one who's going to sit up here and blame this, that, and the other. It's on us. We're supposed to figure out how to win in the end. Personally, I think Dorsey is the number one factor in why we lost that game. I don't know what you think, but it was frustrating watching it. It did. I think we talked a little bit last week about, do you remember how many yards per attempt, not completion, per attempt, Allen was throwing when he was under center and he did play action? Do you remember how many yards per attempt?
Well, wasn't it like 21 or
Something?
something?
17 yards per attempt. When you put your quarterback under center.
17. It's 17.
Right. When you put your quarterback under center and you play action, 17 yards per attempt. And I think we ran it 5 times in that Jags game. And every time was for a big game. Big game. It's like Dorsey's being given the answers to the test and he's still figuring out how to fail. And I don't get it. Spears Bills talk here with some optimism. You want to read his comment?
Yes, Bills will bounce back. I really hope that happens.
And I agree. Look, we lost to the Jags a couple years ago in a 6-9 game and looked horrible. So it is what it is. Every team has bad games like that. I would much rather lose because we did not play a good game, because I think that's more easily fixed than like the way the Dolphins lost to us week 4. They got beat because we were the better team and it didn't matter what they did. So these are all fixable things, but Dorsey's got to get it together, because you cannot have a cheat code like Allen and still be coming up that short in offensive production. And especially now with so many defensive players going down, we're going to need the offense to step up.
Mafia Sports Report comment said, terrible game plan with no in-game adjustments. I do agree. Also went away from the run. We did go away from the run, and I think we need to step that up.
I totally agree.
We have 3 great running backs, and we just need to figure out how to use them.
I agree. It's frustrating. And again, the run game is more efficient and is more productive when we're under center. And I understand this game coming up now, we may have some issues with him being under center, because we really only put Allen under center when we can run that 12 personnel, which is 2 tight ends, 1 running back. And that may not be an option. We'll talk about the injury report here in a minute. That may not be an option. We'll see. But there was no excuse for that in Jacksonville. You should have been running that at least a lot more than you did. I'm not going to give you a number. I don't pretend to know more about football than Ken Dorsey. I just don't understand why, if you're being told on paper, this works, so let's not use it. I don't get the mindset. Hopefully he gets things figured out. Let's get all of these bad Dorsey games out of the way when they don't mean as much early in the season, and let's have him be on in the playoffs when we need him. So that's my opinion. What do you think? Anything else to add about that Jags game, or you just want to move past it? Fair enough. I get it. So now, for those of you who are new, you may not be aware of this game. For those of you who've been here before, you'll understand what Factor Flag is. So Factor Flag is a little trivia game. So I'm going to read a statement, and Mini Mafia is going to say whether he believes that's a fact or a flag. If he believes it's a flag, he believes it's false, and he will wave the yellow flag. So, all right, ready? All right. In half of Josh Allen's games versus NFC teams, he has under 250 yards passing. So throughout his career, in half of his games when he's faced an NFC team, he's had 250 yards passing or less.
Wait, like in both games, like combined? Or in just...
No. I'm saying, like, let's say, I think
like
he's
in each game?
In each game, under 250 yards passing in half. So if you guys in the chat, if you want to guess at this one, so in half of Allen's games versus NFC teams, he has under 250 yards passing. I'll just give a minute here if anybody wants to answer. And you're saying flag, right? All right, so it is actually a fact. Allen has not had great production against NFC teams. I don't know if he just doesn't know him as well. The defenses maybe throw him off a little bit. He actually has 42 touchdowns and 21 interceptions, so a 2-to-1 ratio is not what you want to see out of a quarterback like Allen. Now, of course, some of these are early in his career, before he got Diggs, before he fixed his mechanics, all that. But either way, he has not. Spears also guessed flag. And you would think, given his numbers, unfortunately, he really he's had less than 250 yards in half those matchups. So hopefully we can tip the scales this week, and it'll be a little bit more than half the games where he has 250 or more yards. All right, on to question number 2. Dable. Okay, now we all know that Dable played the Giants. Dable's Giants played Miami last week and lost. Dable is 1-4 versus AFC teams. He was a coach last year and this year. So 1-4 versus AFC teams. What do you think? Fact or flag?
Okay, so 1-4 against AFC teams.
We know we got a loss last week, for sure. So 1-4 versus AFC teams. What do you think?
Well, then that would be the 1-4 record.
Well, that would be a loss, so that would be in the 4. But he played 4 AFC teams last year. 1-4 versus AFC teams. So again, in the chat, feel free to take a guess.
Well, who
Bills,
was
Spears
the
Bills
AFC team?
Well, I'm not going to tell you that. He played one of the AFC divisions last year, but he believes that is a fact that Dable is 1-4 versus AFC teams. What do you think? Fact or flag?
I mean, like he does suck as a coach. At least he did for us. He had his moments. So yeah, I'm gonna say it's a fact.
You're gonna say it's fact? I am sorry. That one is actually a flag. Dable is actually 4-1 versus AFC teams. His first loss versus an AFC team came last week versus Miami. So last year he went 4-0. I knew the teams earlier. I can't remember who they are now that he faced, but yes, he beat all 4 of them last season. So remember, the Giants did go to the playoffs last year. What?
I thought that you said he only played one AFC team last year.
No, he played 4. Every NFC team plays 4 AFC teams every year, and vice versa, at least 4. So, all right, on to the last one. Ready? You're 0 for 2 today. Let's get one right. Okay.
Get one right.
Tyrod Taylor.
Tyrod Taylor.
0-1, and we're bringing up Tyrod Taylor because of the Giants injury report, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But Tyrod Taylor, who's their backup quarterback, is 0-1 versus Buffalo. Fact or flag? 0-1 versus Buffalo.
What teams has he been on?
He played for the Chargers, he played for the Texans, and he played for the Giants.
He also played for us.
Well, yeah, but he can't play against Buffalo. He's playing for Buffalo.
The Giants, the Chargers, and the Texans.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't he the quarterback for the playoff Texans game?
Nope, that was Deshaun Watson. I'll give you that one right there. So Spears Bills Talk is saying it is a fact. What do you think?
I'm pretty sure it's a fact, but I really don't want to get it wrong.
Fact or flag?
I'm going to say it's a fact.
Okay. Unfortunately, you are 0 for 3 this week.
I didn't
we've actually never faced Tyrod Taylor. He was scheduled to play in the Chargers game, and that's when that doctor got him all messed up with the collapsed lung. And other than that, he's never been healthy when we faced his team. So this will be the first time that we face off against Tyrod Taylor. It'll be interesting. I think personally, my biggest concern going into this game is how well Dable knows Josh. And when you know a guy that well, you also know his weaknesses. And I'm a little concerned that he may be able to give Wink Martindale some tips into how to confuse Josh or slow him down. Now, it isn't the same Josh that he was coaching. I think Josh has become a lot more patient, at least recently. So we'll see how that goes. But the same thing with Tyrod Taylor. Like, McDermott did coach Taylor for a year. We know what Tyrod Taylor does well and what he doesn't. I expect them to go in with a similar game plan that they did against Tua. Not so much with the getting physical with the receivers, but not giving him time or taking away those shorter passes, because we all know that's what Taylor wants to do. He wants to be a high efficiency dink and dunk down the field. So if you take away those early reads, which personnel could have a lot to do with that, I think you'll be successful against him. But all right, we're going to go on now. So that is the end of Fact and Flag. We appreciate you playing along, Spears Bills Talk. Better luck next week for sure. Today was not a great day for you. We're going to move on to the injury report. The Bills injury report, although not huge, is concerning. Obviously, we know Trey White is on IR, Daquan Jones is on IR, Matt Milano is on IR. So those 3 off the bat, that's 3 big names, and that's a defender at each level that we're going to be missing for the foreseeable future. That's concerning. As far as
Poyer also dealing with like a thigh injury.
Well, I'm going to read them right now about it. The practices this week. So, Balin Spector just came off of IR with a hamstring injury. He's a linebacker. We drafted him 2 years ago. He's a depth guy, but right now with guys going down, he may end up having to be called up at least in special teams. He was a full practice today. As far as the limited practice guys go, this was true for Wednesday and Thursday. However, Wednesday for Bills is a walkthrough, so it doesn't tell you a whole lot. But we have 3 guys that were limited in practice today. We have Dalton Kincaid, who was limited with concussion. He's in concussion protocol.
Wait, Mom, I can guess the next 2.
Who?
Dawson Knox and Dane Jackson.
Nope. Okay. So Dalton Kincaid, I'm a little confused on this one because he was evaluated for a concussion during the Jags game and he was allowed to go back in. So I don't know how you then end up in concussion protocol, but I think his is going to basically come down to whether or not he clears protocol. If he clears protocol, he'll play. If he doesn't, he won't. And there's not much you can do to rush that along. However, our other tight end is also on the injury report, Dawson Knox with a wrist. That could be significant if Kincaid can't go. That leaves us with Reggie Gilliam, who plays more of a fullback spot. And if somebody in the chat wants to tell me, there's another guy who plays the tight end spot, but he's really just a depth guy. So that's going to really limit the kind of formations that we can do and the kind of production that we can have in the short game. We'll see what happens. The last guy that was limited in practice today was Greg Rousseau. Good to see him back at practice. He was do not practice all last week. Spears Bill talk here pointing out, much rather have them go down now than at the end of the season. Absolutely. Like, let's get this injury bug out of the way now, and by the end of the season, be as healthy as possible.
There definitely has been some good news about Matt Milano.
We talked about that a little, yeah.
Yeah, so far McDermott hasn't really revealed much, but so far we think it's only a fractured leg, not a torn ACL. So this could be possible towards the end of the season that we get him back in. I'm really hoping we can, but if we do, he has to be on a snap count.
Well, at least to start off, yeah, and we'll see what happens. I will say, just from watching football for years, a fractured bone, he's going to be more likely to get back on the field than a torn pec, especially a linebacker or a lineman with a torn pec. Those are long injuries to come back from. So if you're just kind of following along and hoping for the future, I would say it's more likely to get Matt Milano back than Daquan Jones. But we'll see what happens. I mean, either way, like, this is why you build depth on your team, is for that next man up mentality. I actually thought Dorian Williams did okay last week. Maybe with a full week of practice with the ones, he can be better. The Giants are not a high-powered offense. So if we're going to have to kind of settle into these new roles, this is a good game to do it against. I'm not saying they're a pushover. No team in the NFL is. But this is not a team like Miami where if you make a mistake, they're going to put 6 on the board on you. So hopefully those guys can settle in back there. And again, next man up. Like, the season, you can't just throw it away. So next man up, you got to figure things out. Now, I will never hope for anybody to be injured. That's not what I want. However, if a guy had to be a do not practice for 2 days and he's a starter, this would be the guy I would be hoping for. Dane Jackson. Those of you who've been following along know, how do we feel about Dane Jackson?
We really don't like him. To me, he's the worst guy in the team.
As far as starters go, yeah. I understand that our coaching staff likes to go with experience over ceiling floor comparisons. I think Dane Jackson's a liability out there. Again, if he has to play this game, I don't think it hurts us too much because it is the Giants, but down the line, it will hurt us. And I think the more playtime that Elam can get now when it's on a game like the Giants where he can look really good, the better off it is for him making it harder for them to put in Dane Jackson over him. And I got to say, at this point, either give Elam a real shot with White going down or trade him off and get some capital for him, because Dane Jackson's not the answer. So you got to figure out something. So that is the Bills injury report. Now, the Giants injury report is a lot worse. The big names on the injury report do not practice for today.
Spears Bills talk commented, it's not about the players, it's about the scheme. I do agree with you. If you have bad players, you can still have a good scheme, and then they can look good.
I agree to an extent. I think McDermott is one of the best scheme guys on defense in the NFL, but there are certain things that you just can't overcome. You need athletic linebackers to play our scheme. You need them to be able to get deep and cover and get in passing lanes 15, 20 yards on the field. And you also need them to be able to come up and stop the run efficiently, because we do play a small package. Our cornerbacks, you can cover up for some deficiencies there, but we do ask our cornerbacks to be active in the run game. And Dane Jackson, I've seen it once at least in the last 2 games alone. He does not set the edge. He lets the guy beat him around the outside. And when you're the only guy out there, that's the one thing you can't have happen. You don't have to make the tackle. You just can't let him beat you around the corner. And he's diving at their feet and being a selfish player instead of keeping them from cutting around the outside. So I agree with you to a certain extent, but I think there is a tipping point at which the poor play by an individual can hurt the entire scheme. QB Daniel Jones has not practiced the last 2 days. He left the game early last week with a neck injury. It is not looking good for him to play. They do have a few offensive linemen. To be honest with you, I don't follow the Giants super close, so I don't know if they're starters or not, but they are out. Did not practice. That would be Andrew Thomas, John Michael Schmitz, and Matt Pert. And then they have a linebacker who is out. I believe he's a backup. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that name. A punter who is out with an illness. A running back, Gary Brightwell. Obviously, he's not their starting running back, but with Saquon missing the last few games, all their running backs have had to step up. We may be seeing some Matt Breida this week, too. Limited in practice was DB Deontay Banks, running back Saquon Barkley, who's been limited at least last week. He was also limited and he didn't play. So we'll see what happens. Another DB, Flott, a couple more offensive linemen, linebacker Michael McFadden, that could be a big deal. Wide receiver Wandale Robinson, that's he's out with knee and rest, so I expect him to play. And then another big one, tight end Darren Waller. He's been their number one receiver so far this year. He is limited today with a groin. I believe he did not practice yesterday. He was limited yesterday as well. So those are some big names to be missing. So neither team's really going in healthy. I would say at this point for this matchup, their injuries are more significant than ours, but we'll see what happens this week.
I personally disagree with you. I think our injuries are definitely more significant because our two biggest players on defense are out.
I would agree with you overall, but I'm saying for this matchup, I feel like the Bills can get by better with what they're missing than the Giants can with what they're missing, especially if Barkley and Waller don't go. But we'll see what happens. I mean, the Giants could put up a much tougher fight than we're expecting, and it could be a game in the fourth quarter. Or if our offense comes out and plays like they did and the play calls are like the first 3 quarters of the Jacksonville game, I don't care. We're going to be playing a college team out there, and we're going to struggle. So we'll see what happens with it. We're going to move on now to our Josh Allen stat line. So, I'm sorry, our keys to the game. So we pick an offensive and a defensive key to the game each week.
From number one, Bill's grandma / my grandma, the team will definitely step up and cover injuries.
I like the optimism. I like the optimism. So let's hope so. We got another comment there from Spears Bills Talk.
The SB and the division is not out of the question.
Absolutely.
The Super Bowl and the division are not.
Look, I know we're a game down on Miami, but let's not forget we were like 2 games down on Miami and 0-2 in the division to start last year, and we worked it out. We still have our future in our own hands because we play Miami again. So if, let's say, both teams were to win out and get to that 18th game, the winner of that 18th game would be the team that wins the division. So by no means is the division out of reach, and the Super Bowl isn't, because the Super Bowl is all about who gets hot at the end of the year. So I'm with you, Spears, on that positive and optimistic outlook. We just got to get everything together. I will say that, and somebody pointed out earlier, these things happening at the beginning of the year, that's what the key is, because usually speaking, the best team is not who wins the Super Bowl. The team who wins the Super Bowl is the team who's playing best at the end of the year. So let's get all these issues out of the way now. Let's get everything figured out and go into the playoffs with a head of steam and see what happens. I still think the Bills' best versus any other team's best, I'm going to take the Bills. I just feel like there's less holes on that roster and they're a better team overall.
From Siggy Sauer, hope some lesser names come out swinging.
Absolutely. Agreed. Like, look, guys get a shot all the time because of injury, right? And then the next thing you know, you don't want to take them off the field. Yeah. Look at Bernard. Bernard is only in the game right now because we let Edmonds go, or we wouldn't even know that guy. And he's playing lights out. He's playing like a top linebacker in the league. So
if I were to rank my top 5 linebackers, Bernard would be at least he would be in the top 3.
So he's playing really, really well, especially against pass. Another guy is Gabe Davis.
Linebackers are above him would probably be Matt Milano.
You got to put Fred Warner out there.
Yeah, and Fred Warner. I prefer Fred Warner above Matt Milano.
There's some linebackers playing good, especially that are playing the run, I think, a little bit better. But I'm with you on the pass. He's played very, very well against the pass.
He's gotten an amazing interception that Edmonds would have never played. It was like the Diggs catch in Minnesota. He just snagged it out of the sky. And he also got 2 sacks that game, so he's playing lights out.
And it's a next man up mentality. AJ Epinesa just had a huge game. He's in because he got that many snaps because Greg Rousseau was out. So this team has depth. We're going to see it on display at least over the next 6 to 8 weeks. We'll see what happens. I'm still very, very hopeful. I don't mean to sound pessimistic if I do. So we're going to move on to the keys to the game for the upcoming Giants matchup. Do you want to go first for your first key to the game?
Before we do the keys of the game, the Thursday night game. That's going on. The KC versus Broncos. I don't really know much about it, so I'll let Mafia Mon take over.
I don't think there's a reason to spend a whole lot of time on this. I don't think the Broncos have beat Mahomes since he's been with KC. The Broncos are bad. I don't mean bad like last year bad.
I think
they're bad.
I think they're the worst team in the league.
This is the kind of game that's going to get KC's offense clicking again, which is not good for anybody. I just I know the Chiefs struggled a little bit with the Jets last week. The Jets have a legit defense. Like I've been saying that all season, all off season.
From Spears Bills talk, the middle linebacker is better than Edmonds.
100%.
Yeah, definitely. Edmonds Edmonds can never trust his instincts. Bernard can.
Yeah, and look, Edmonds had a lot of physical
holes.
Edmonds I agree. Edmonds had a lot of physical gifts, but give me a player who's going to play that hard, that fast, and that instinctual over a guy who's got an edge physically any day. And Edmonds made some plays. He could have made a lot more, and I don't feel like Bernard is leaving plays on the field. So I'm completely with you on that one.
Also, I'm pretty sure I've said this in the other podcasts, but Bernard has had more fumble recoveries and also more forced fumbles. I'm pretty sure he's forced
I don't think he's forced any. He's got a couple of recoveries. So.
He's got 2 fumble recoveries.
He might even have 3 now.
Edmonds literally had none in the entire 5 years that he was with us. That just proves that Bernard is a better linebacker and he's around the ball more.
It proves that he's got his nose in on more plays than Edmonds for sure. So because he had more fumble recoveries in his first 3 games than Edmonds had in his first 5 years. So that's definitely saying something. And I do apologize, Mini Mafia. I never let you give your recap. I went into Dorsey and my issue with him. I don't think you ever got to give your recap on what you thought the issue was from last week. So why don't you go ahead, because that plays into your keys to the game too.
Yeah. My recap is we need to work on drops. Drops have killed us every single year but 2020. And 2020 was easily our best season.
Offensively, yes.
Definitely. And our receivers need to catch the ball. Like, I know it's hard to be a receiver, but it's not that hard to catch a pass that's, like, right in front of you. And the Dawson Knox drop touchdown and the Davis not dragging his foot for the touchdown. Like,
that was a few weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah, but, like, we need to work on catching the ball a lot. And the highlight is Elam for me. He tied in solo sacks with Bernard.
Solo tackles.
Yeah, solo tackles with Bernard with, I'm pretty sure, 8 each.
Yep, 8 each.
That's insane.
So good for Elam stepping up.
Because Elam's basically a rookie. He had almost no time. He had almost no snaps last year. And neither did Bernard. So they're stepping up severely. And I'm pretty sure Elam's going to get the chance to play. I'm really hoping he does. And honestly, I'm excited to see what he has.
I think he's got a really high ceiling. So I'm with you. I want to see him out there. For whatever reason, he has not gotten on McDermott's good side. I think this game against the Giants could be a chance for him to really make some headway when the comparison with him and Dane Jackson. So I think those are great highlights to use for the recap. I agree with you on the drops. We've been bottom of the NFL in drop percentage every single year, meaning we've had the highest other than 2020. And we only made it up to 17th, just to give you a comparison there. The KC's worst finish in drop percentage since they've had Mahomes was 16th. And that was also in 2020. So Allen is dealing with things that these other elite QBs are not. And our offense, which has been top 3 for years, is dealing with things that these other top offenses are not. And the drops are an issue, and they keep coming up at bad times. So I agree with you. I feel bad Allen got another interception last week. It wasn't on him. I'm sorry. You put a 50-50 ball up in one-on-one coverage to your best wide receiver. He's got to either come down with that ball or make sure the other guy doesn't. Diggs got out-muscled for that ball, and I don't think we've seen that at any point with Diggs. So that was disappointing. I know Allen doesn't really care about the stats, but it's frustrating because as Bills fans, we got to keep hearing now Allen's a turnover machine, which is ridiculous. Like, there's other guys who have the same or more interceptions than him at this point this season.
Eli Manning was a turnover machine. It was Eli Manning or Peyton Manning?
Peyton Manning, to start his career, threw way more interceptions than Allen. So it's frustrating to hear it. And then a lot of people don't actually watch the play. They just see the box score and think they understand what happened. So I'm with you. The drops, the wide receivers and the pass catchers have got to do more to help Allen out in games like the Jags. Can I read that one?
Oh, yes. Siggy Sauer. Dang, this kid is going somewhere.
In sports.
In sports.
So he thinks you know what you're talking about. So,
well, thank you so much, Siggy Sauer. I have not heard that in quite a while. The only 2 times I've heard it is from Mafia Mom here and from Joe Miller, which was my first show, which got displayed in my entire school.
So, well, thank you very much. Appreciate that. He loves the Bills. So We love talking about it. The OL is getting better. Spiel's built up.
100%. I know Torrance had a bad game, but he's a rookie, so
it's his first bad game. It was week 5. I'll take it.
All of us can deal with rookie mistakes, especially from like rookies.
Well, yeah, that's the only ones who can have rookie mistakes, right? I agree.
Like Bernard can also have rookie mistakes because he's basically
so young players. I gotcha.
It's like 2 years of experience and under.
Well, and it also comes down to how many games they've actually played. So they might have been in the league for a year or two, but if they haven't played, you're going to expect some mistakes out there.
Like Elam.
Can live with those. I agree on the offensive line. I expected it to be improved this year, but it's way better than I expected it to be. So I hope they can stay healthy and keep going like that. Deion Dawkins was very inconsistent to me over the last season or two. And maybe it was the guy playing next to him, because watching him this year, he's been solid. PFF, which I only put so much stock in, they have him as the 5th best tackle in the NFL, I believe. At least that was going into last week. That's impressive, because you look at every team has 2 tackles. So for him to be the 5th best, he's better than a lot of guys then. So impressive there. So let's move on finally now, because I keep saying it, to the keys to the game for the upcoming week against the Giants. So would you like to go first, offense or defense?
Wait 1 sec. I just did the math, and he's in top 5 out of them. Should be 64 tackles starting.
That's starting, but then there's injuries and stuff, so there's always a few extra on there. But yeah, that's impressive for him to be top 5 there. So
yes,
I agree with you on the line for sure. So go ahead. Would you like to give your keys to the game for offense or defense first?
I'll go for my defense. We have to come out healthy here. We can't have any more injuries. Like if Bedford or Elam get injured, it's either Sharon Neal, Cam Lewis, or if Dane Jackson can come.
Ingram was also in there last week. So we got a few options, but none of them are good, right?
Yeah. Out of those 3, Sharon Neal's the best option, just because he's been with us for a while and he knows their style. But he's more of, I think, a nickel.
He plays more the slot than he does outside, yes.
So that will come into worrisome, but I think he'll do good. And we can't have any more injuries, like big name injuries, like Hyde or Poyer can't go down.
Don't jinx us. Knock on wood.
Knock on wood. None of our defensive line can go down. Knock on wood. Nobody can go down. If they do, it's going to be bad.
And we don't want to see the injury start on the offense either, but the defense has already lost some key pieces. So I'm with you there. My key to the game for defense is very similar. It's next man up. Look, you guys are all professional players. This is your chance. Dorian Williams, you were a 3rd round draft pick. Go out there and show us why you deserve a spot on this team. I mean, it's that simple. Elam, you were a 1st round draft pick. At this point, people are starting to call you a bust, which I think is unfair. The kid's gotten very limited time. Go out there and prove to everybody that you belong on this team and you belong in a spot. So I'm with you. So my defensive key is next man up. At this point, you're suffering for some injuries, but it's no excuse. You've had a week to prepare. You're not being thrown in last second. Figure it out. Go out there and figure out how to produce. And as long as that line can keep getting pressure the way that they have, and the Giants' offensive line has struggled, but as long as that D-line can keep getting pressure, it can cover up for some deficiencies on the back end and in the middle. So I'm with you there. What about offense? What's your key to the offense?
I want you to go first.
You want me to go first? Okay. I think it was pointed out earlier by Mafia Sports Report. We got away from the run game last week. I think that's key. I think the run game helps us control the pace of the game. It also opens up a lot more against the for the pass. So totally there.
By Mafia Sports Report, I posted a short video today about Geyer Elam. Check it out, Bills Mafia.
Yeah, I saw that pop up in my notifications. I didn't get a chance to watch it yet, but I'm very interested to see what you had to say for sure. So the run game is part 1 of my offensive keys, and part 2 is to use those slot receivers. This is more a factor if one or both of the tight ends can't go. The Giants struggle against slot receivers. They give up about half of their production as far as fantasy points go, which I know isn't real life, but it's a good measuring stick. They give up about half of their production to wide receivers go to slot receivers. So that tells me that they have some weaknesses in the middle of the field. Allen should not have a problem exploiting that. We have some talented slot receivers in there. We got Hardy. Gabe Davis can play in the slot. He doesn't do it a lot anymore. They've put
Shakir.
Diggs in the slot. Shakir.
I really want to see Shakir.
So if the tight ends can't go, I expect a big game out of the slot receivers, and I expect them to step up. If they can go, I expect a big game out of the tight ends. So we haven't really seen a big game from those guys yet. So I'd like to see that there. You want to read that one, Hooked Up Joe?
From Hooked Up Joe. Y'all have to love Allen turning into a pass-first QB with the best completion percentage in the NFL. You can't hurdle defenders forever. Extend the time Superman can stay in the game, going to kill the Giants.
Yeah, it's nice to see. I think Bills fans have been screaming for a long time that Allen just sometimes needs to take the cape off. Like, we get it. You can play like a superhero. We don't need that every game. So, yeah, completely with you. We actually, it looks like you're a Miami fan there. We would like them to play a little bit more like Tua at times. Just take the easy pass. Like, you don't got to go 80 yards deep to a 5'5" receiver who's double covered all the time. Sometimes you can just throw it 5 yards and let your guy pick up 7. It's okay. So 100%, that's a great point to make, especially from somebody who probably doesn't watch the Bills all the time. The Bills are absolutely glad to see Allen doing that and sliding. It's been very good to see him sliding and not taking extra hits.
Actually, I'm pretty sure it was like Trey White and another guy. They bet Allen in one of the games to slide.
Yep. They did.
That was funny.
And Spears Bills talk here saying, I have to agree with Tommy. We need to start with Harris or Murray to weaken the defenses. Totally agree. We made that point. I think it was last week as well. And I know Tommy has. Those are big bodied backs. Put them in there. Let them run up the middle. Let them weaken that defensive line. And then you put Cook in with the speed. That's what makes sense to me.
And don't run Cook between the tackles.
Not out of shotgun, at least.
Yes.
Please.
Killing me. From under center, it's fine. He does good between the tackles, but not from. Don't run it out of shotgun because he's at a standstill.
That shotgun draw to Cook between the tackles is useless. I'm sorry. I 1 out of every 6 times it picks up 4 yards, and it drives me crazy. I hate that play. I want them to take it out of the playbook and never use it again to James Cook. It really drives me crazy. So what was your offensive keys to this game?
My offensive keys to the game, same as my recap, drops. We need to fix the drops. I'm expecting under 2 drops this game.
That'd be nice to see.
It would be a great reassured. It'd be a great I can't think of the word.
Relief.
Yes, relief. It would be a great relief to see that our receivers cannot drop the ball some games and have Allen not get trashed all the time about not being a good QB. We really need to stop with the drops.
Yeah. And, you look at Allen's numbers from last week, and he's still leading the NFL in completion percentage. He really had a good game. I know a lot of it came in the fourth quarter when we were down, but he threw for like 359 yards. I can't remember. I think he had 2 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, and a interception. But he didn't play bad. It just took a while for it to start getting in there, and the drops definitely hurt. They did. And again, throw the ball off of play action from under center. It's not that hard, Dorsey. The answer's right there in front of you. Thank you, Hooked Up Joe. We appreciate that. You want to read that one?
Yes. Don't forget to hit the like button. I did. Thank you so much, Hooked Up Joe. We really appreciate it. All the support that we get from this is really amazing because me and Mafia Mom, we just started this last year, so it's a little new. It's not new to us, but we really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
And we appreciate Tommy giving us a chance and letting us do the show every week on his channel. So thank you guys very much. Definitely appreciate it. Great comment there from Spears Bills Talk. You want to read that one? It was funny.
Yeah. Our cook is cooking, and the Broncos Wilson is doing the opposite. Instead of cooking, he's burning the food.
I would agree with you, man. I always thought Russell Wilson was a little overrated. I thought he always had a really great team around him, but man, these last 2 years, I feel like I kind of feel for him at this point. Like, he should have just retired. If he didn't have such an off-putting personality, I would feel a lot more sympathy for him.
From Spears Bills Talk, I'm really enjoying the show. Thank you so much, Spears Bills Talk. We again what I just said. We really appreciate all the support and everybody watching and commenting.
Mm-hmm.
It makes us, at least for me, it makes me feel like you guys enjoy seeing us every weekend on Thursday. It's really exciting to see that people actually like watching this podcast.
And we really love you guys coming in and chatting, because the show is so much better when we can hear your thoughts and your ideas and respond to them and have more of a conversation than just us sitting up here talking for an hour. So we really appreciate you being so active in the chat too. All right, so we're due with the keys to the game. Let's move on to the Josh Allen stat line. You want to go first or second?
I will go first.
Okay, and if you guys have a Josh Allen stat line or a key to the game, please feel free to put it down in the chat or in the comments below if you're watching this after the fact.
My Josh Allen stat line is going to be 306 yards, for 23 for 28 attempts, 1 interception, unfortunately, and 3 touchdowns. That was for the passing. For the rushing, 40 yards, 3 attempts, and 1 touchdown.
Wow. So you see him getting some work on the ground and 4 touchdowns again. I wouldn't be mad at that. I could definitely deal with that. In 23 of 28, high completion percentage. Very nice. I do not quite have that much. I don't think he's going to have that big of a game. I will say the Giants right now have the 3rd highest yard per attempt given up in the pass game at 7.6.
That's a lot, especially for Iraq yards.
So for each time a QB attempts a pass on them, their team gains an average of 7.6 yards. So that means they're definitely giving up some big plays. I just think the run game is going to be a little bit more featured this week. I think they're going to make it a point to run the ball a little bit more. So I'm seeing Allen around 280, 290, right in there. I do think he'll have 3 total touchdowns, and I do not believe he'll turn the ball over this week. So that's my my Josh Allen stat line.
For Spears Bills talk, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions.
Tell you what, Spears, nice if Allen has 6 touchdowns and no interceptions, you got to come back next week and we'll get your address and we'll send you a Bills t-shirt. Because if you predict a 6 touchdown game, I don't think he's ever had it before. If you predict a 6 touchdown game with no interceptions, we'll have to get you a prize for sure.
I think that was the Patriots.
I don't think he had 6. He had 5, I think, in that game.
He's almost hit 6 a couple times, but he's never hit 6. So if you predict that correct, you're insane, and we're gonna get you a really cool Bills t-shirt.
And then we got another prediction here from Spills. Hooked up Joe. He's got a lot of faith in the Bills offense.
545 total yards, 43-13.
42-13. Yep.
That's actually close to my score prediction.
You guys have some big games coming up though. Like, look, I'm a Bills fan who's been beat down over the years. So I remember the Kelly years and the horrible 17-year drought. So maybe I'm just a little more pessimistic, but I would much rather have your games than the ones I'm predicting. So also, I'm good with that.
I think that we're going to be playing harder. I think they know about this, but we lost the Super Bowl to the Giants.
Yeah, I'm sure they know.
And yes. I think that was wide right.
That was the heartbreaker. Yep. That was the wide right game. So we'll see what happens. I'm hoping, like I said, that you guys are right. I think it's so hard to predict sometimes with our offense because our offense isn't being stopped. It's just sometimes they just don't play well. It's not like forced errors. They just don't look good. And if they have a game like that, they just don't get anything going. And there's no rhythm. There's no fluidity to it. It's just a very jerky kind of a thing. And when they come out like that, the production's going to be low. So I'm hoping you guys are right though. Spears Bills talk here, pointing out the Bills have an easy game stretch. Yeah, we got a couple of very winnable games, but you still got to go out and perform. And I think we were a better team than Jacksonville, and look what happened. So you still got to go out and put a good product out there. So right now we're going to move on to for those of you who've been with us for the last few weeks, you've known that we've been getting some of our hot takes right. This week was no exception. You want to tell them what your hot take was last week that you got right?
Yes, my hot take was Josh Allen will not be sacked at all, and I was right. People may count the roughing the passer sack from Josh Allen on Josh Allen as a sack. It wasn't. It got wiped off the board because it was roughing the passer, so that doesn't technically count as a sack.
But you were right. I got to say, I do think the roughing the passer call was a bad call, but it was also a bad call. The hit on a defenseless receiver from Poyer earlier in the game, they kept their drive alive. So the bad calls even out, man. Like
also when the receiver
I can't blame the
ran
refs.
into Poyer.
Yeah, it is what it is. Like the completed pass, I don't think was a completed pass that we challenged. So those bad calls all come around at the end of the day. But you were right. At the end of the day, there was 0 sacks on Josh Allen. So good job. I made 2 predictions last week. One of them came true. One of them didn't. One of them was that James Cook would get going. He would have another 100-yard game. Obviously, that did not happen. I think we moved away from the run game way too early. But I did say that for the first time in Davis's career, he would keep his TD streak alive to a 4th game. And at the end of the game, he did get one. I didn't think he was going to get it at first when he got called back for a penalty, but then they went back to him on the very next play. So this week, hot takes. What are you thinking this week?
If I get this right, I'm going to be extremely surprised.
I might have to buy you a Bills t-shirt.
Yeah.
Another one.
Yeah. My hot take is Dorian Williams, the rookie, will get 1 interception and 10 total tackles.
Wow, 10 total tackles and 1 interception. Real quick before we get into that, do you want to read Mafia Sports Report's comment there?
Yes. For Mafia Sports Report, for me, everything seems hard on offense for the Buffalo Bills. There's no identity to it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that comes down once again to the play calling. And there's been games where it seems smooth and it seemed good. But
from number one Bills
Mafia Sports Report.
From Mafia Sports Report, Dorsey needs to stop trying to use dummy down Dable offense and start being more creative and using the weapons we added this offseason. I 100% agree.
Totally agree. Again, my analogy with Dorsey is he's been given the answers to the test and he's still failing somehow more than he's passing. And I don't understand how that can happen. I would expect if this season continues this way, this will be Dorsey's last year, but we'll see what happens. Either way, hopefully we will not be dealing with the bad play calling moving forward. So either Dorsey fixes it or we bring somebody else in. We'll see what happens. From
number one, Bills, grandma, shake off the crazy and focus on the job at hand. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills. From Hooked Up Joe, offensive line is mostly out. They were on the 3rd center with 0 experience, but he did well.
I don't know if you're talking about the Giants. I'm assuming, they have some serious offensive line issues right now. So hopefully we can exploit that on defense for sure. It's a good point. I saw all the offensive line injuries. I wasn't sure how many of them were starters and backups or whatever. But if you're talking about the Giants offensive line, I think that's a place where the Bills defense can really make a difference in this game. So my hot take for this week, I kind of touched on it earlier with the keys to the game. I believe either our slot receivers or tight ends will be the biggest offensive production in this game. So Diggs will still get his, but I think at the end of the day, one of those 2 position groups are going to make a huge difference in this game. You're going to see us going over the middle a lot. Another comment from Spears, Bills talk. James Cook 3 down at our 20-yard line to the end zone. To the end zone touchdown. That would be nice to see. Yeah, I'll take it. We've been running the ball very effectively in the red zone, so I'm with you on that. And that's something that's been missing from Allen or from the Bills the entire time they've had Allen, other than when Allen's run it in the red zone. So would definitely love to see that. So, come back next week and we'll see if we got our hot takes right for this week. We are going, or any of your hot takes right for this week. We are going to from Rimblance, my uncle. Hey guys, hope the podcast is going great. Love the work and insight and opinions. Thank you. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. We appreciate you tuning in. We're going to move on to our last portion of the podcast tonight. So this is our score prediction here. From Hooked Up Joe, it should come down to the last game that will be flexed. If the division comes down, or if playoff seeding comes down to that last game between Miami and the Bills, it'll 100% be flexed. It'll be interesting too. The Bills have still done well in Miami over the years, but Miami is a different team this year. So we'll see how it shakes out. I love mocking Miami. You want to read that one? Yeah. Mafia Sports Report, hot take. I prefer Latavius Murray to be our lead back to start the games. That would definitely be nice to see. He's one of the toughest running backs I've seen. He's a big body, and when you get hit, you get hit. Yeah. I don't feel like they've used Damian Harris very much. I think Damian Harris is a very good back, very capable back. I know he's had injury issues in the past, but I would love to see bigger doses of Murray and Harris, especially in the first half of the games. Like, wear those D linemen out. Let them big backs bang in there and wear those guys down. They're not going to want to tackle them at the end of the game. or they're not going to be able to keep up with Cook at the end of the game. Plus, when you get those big bodies backs in there and they're pounding it in the middle, pounding it through the middle, then when you throw that speed guy in there, that speed is deceptive, and that can break off a big play here and there. So I'm totally with you on that. I don't care who technically starts and who's second, but I do think that the heavier dose of the bigger backs early in the game is helpful.
Another comment from Spears Bills talk. Allen has less interceptions than last year. That looks promising. I would love to see him decreasing in interceptions and increasing in touchdowns. I actually have a hot take for this year, but at the end of the season, that he will have over 55 total touchdowns.
That was definitely a hot take. Mafia Sports Report here saying that he would like Harris to finish games, kill the clock on long drives. I'm with you there. I think depending on the way the game plays out, that Latavius Murray and Harris can both still be effective late in games. But I think no matter what, you want those bigger guys in there early in the game, no matter how the game goes down. But I'm with you that there are situations where I would rather see Harris than Cook at the end of the games. But that third quarter to me should really be when James Cook's, when he shines. So on to our score predictions here. Would you like to go first or second, Minnie?
I will go first.
Okay, what's your score prediction for this week?
My score prediction is absolutely 41-14. I was either Spears Bills talk or Hooked Up Joe that said 42-13, and I said that was very close to mine, and it was. I think that we're gonna score a touchdown by the running back and 4 touchdowns by Allen, and then we're gonna get kicked 2 field goals.
I'd like to see it. I'd just like to see a smooth, good game by the offense. That's what I want to see. Ken Dorsey has got to get this stuff figured out. Like, I cannot tell you. I mean, you watch the games with me. You know, I'm literally screaming at the TV the entire 3 hours the game is on at Dorsey.
She's like screaming at Dorsey, like just
put Josh under center. Put Josh under center over and over again. He was driving me crazy. So please, Dorsey, I'm begging you, figure things out.
And trust
50 50-0. Bills by $1 billion, right?
Trust me, it gets annoying. So Dorsey, please fix it.
Spears Bills talk thinks that we're gonna win 50-0. Hey, I'll take it. That would be nice. Like I said, Bills by $1 billion. Let's see it. My score prediction is not quite as gaudy as many of yours. I do, however, think that even if the offense struggles initially, the Giants right now, between injuries and the way they're playing, they're not playing well right now. If the Giants and Jets faced each other this weekend, I would have a hard time picking that game. I think I'd go with the Jets. So that's where I kind of put the Giants.
For Hooked Up Joe, LOL, I feel bad for the Giants.
I do too, man. They came in with a lot of hope this year, and you know, Dable, he had that franchise excited and that community excited again, and they paid Daniel Jones all that money, and then Barkley gets hurt in the offensive line, and they haven't been able to get it together. So we'll see what happens. I like Daniel Jones personally. I know people like to hate on him.
He's kind of he's a lot like Allen, but like a lot worse.
He's like if Allen never made it out of that rookie year. Like if Allen was still playing like he did as a rookie, not quite as physical, but the rest of it, that's Daniel Jones to me. And like, I don't know. I want the guy to succeed. I like him. He seems like a cool dude. You want to read on Mafia Sports Report?
Problem is Cook isn't a third down back. He wasn't in Georgia, and I highly doubt he will be in the NFL. We need to use all 3 backs in games.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's tough when you have a back, regardless of how talented they are, that you can't put in obvious passing situations or on third down. And that's kind of the position Cook's in. But I still think he's such a weapon with his ability to catch and his speed around the edge that there are times in the game where if it's strategically placed, his runs can really be explosive. And I think he's the only real explosive back we have on the team. So I would like to see just a more common sense approach to the playbook. I just feel like Dorsey's like, he's overthinking things. Like, stop complicating it too much. That's a comparison to Daniel Jones.
Yeah, Mafia Sports Report commented, yeah, he's like Kyle Allen. Yeah, he definitely is.
I haven't seen enough of Kyle Allen, honestly, when we brought him here. But well, before he came here. But I get what you're saying. I feel for Daniel Jones. I like the guy. I want him to do well, and he just hasn't been able to get it together. So my score prediction for this Bills-Giants matchup, and again, if anybody hasn't given their prediction in the comments, please feel free to. My score prediction is a little less than your guys's. It's 31-13. I think the biggest factor is the Bills defense is not going to allow the Giants offense to get rolling. They've really struggled this year. And even if Barkley comes back, I don't see, not that it won't make a difference because Barkley is a phenomenal back, but it would be his first game back in a few games, and that offensive line is still struggling. So I don't necessarily see it making a huge difference with or without Barkley. Obviously, without Barkley, they're not as good. But either way, I think we're going to win by multiple scores. If we struggle in this game, we really need to start asking questions because something is wrong. Then this offense is too good to be that flat, is the way they were in Jacksonville. So, hopefully they come out and they play a good game. Sunday night games. I remember a time, man, where I was like, why are the Bills never on prime time? And now I'm like, can you just give us 1:00 games on Sundays? Because the primetime games just throw everything off for me. I'm not a fan. He's got to stay up late, then he's miserable the next day. And I don't know about you guys. Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I cannot. I'm a crazy person during games. I don't eat anything before or during a game. And I can't sleep afterwards. So when we have these night games, I'm up until like 4:00 in the morning, just wide awake. So yeah, put us back to 1:00 NFL. Like we don't need to play in prime time. I'm good with that. But we don't get to pick the schedule. So we'll see what happens. But anything else you would like to add before we sign off for the day?
One thing.
Spears Bills talk did mention Kyle Allen scored a TD on the Giants.
Yes.
Or you think he's going to this week. So that'll be interesting. We'll see.
Yeah, and then Mafia Sports Report commented 41-10 Bills. That I would like to see that.
You guys are so much more confident than I am, man. I'm jealous of this confidence.
Hey, another comment says, I'm good with primetime, just cut the London games out. Yes.
I hate these overseas games. They're so ridiculous. I'm sorry.
One thing. I said 41-14. You said 31-13. They're both the opposites.
They are. But people in the chat at least definitely seem to be leaning more towards your range of points than mine. So we'll see what happens. I want those games. I want the 41-10, 41-14. I just, after what I saw in Jacksonville, I have a hard time believing they're going to come out that on fire to put up that kind of points. And we all know how the Bills are. If we're up big, Allen's going to sit most of the fourth quarter. So maybe then that other prediction will come true and Kyle Allen will score a touchdown from Spears Bills talk. So anything else you want to add?
No, just remember to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more amazing content.
Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. We hope you come back again next Thursday. Please hit the like button on your way out if you can. And yeah, until next time, go Bills!
Go Bills!